1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Line level, cool. And press microphone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should be roughly about the same sort of level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everyone happy? Great. Thanks, fellas. And lady. Must be that. You don't want to hear me sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But in case you were wondering, I do not sound anything like Alex Turner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You good? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Matchday -1 press conference ahead of our Europa League semi-final first leg tomorrow. Translation is available via the headsets, Channel 1 for English, Channel 2 for Norwegian. Please use the microphone provided to ask a question. We have around 15 minutes, so we ask for a maximum 2 questions per person to get through as many as we can in the time we have. Simon.
First of all, team news, Heung-min Son. What likelihood that he'll feature tomorrow night?
Yeah, no, he won't feature tomorrow night. He's still he's out training, but he's still separate from the group. So he's improving, and hopefully we can get him back in sooner rather than later.
They're a really attack-minded team, Bodo Glimt. You've had experience of playing them twice before with Celtic. What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, no, they've been pretty consistent the last few years. Obviously, the same manager and sort of core group of players, but definitely a distinct style of football that they've stuck to and have had success with. They've been pretty consistent obviously in the Norwegian league, but also in Europe. Every game they've played, irrespective of the opposition, they've played some really good quality opposition in Europe. They've always been really competitive, and I think that's just born from the fact that they're very stable and have a clear sort of understanding of how they play their football. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
A new contract for Lucas Bergvall this week. I mean, how much has he improved just in this season, and also kind of how important is it to the club to build the future of the club around players like that?
Yeah, hugely so. I'm delighted for Lucas. I think it's it's reward for his, like I said, his development this year, his performances, and how well he's adapted. We've got to remember a lot of young guys who maybe come to the Premier League have a step in between, whether that's playing, in another league. But he's sort of come, straight from the Swedish league, a really, year of senior football into Premier League, and his growth's been. It's a credit to him. He's worked really hard at his game. At the beginnings, he was really struggling to cope with a lot of the intensity and tempo, as you'd expect, and we expected. I guess. A lot about football and life in general is opportunity, and he had an opportunity this year because of the situation we were in, and he grabbed it with both hands. And then even now that we've literally got a full squad to choose from, he's still being selected because he took the opportunity. And you're right. I think there's a core group of young players here that hopefully we can build something from.
This is very much if the club can get through the next 2 legs, but the club have been looking at trying to get the Aston Villa game moved next month. We see kind of foreign leagues often switch around fixtures to help out teams in European competition. Is this something that the Premier League kind of really has to help out on this occasion with?
Look, I haven't looked too deeply into it. I don't know what sort of precedence there is to it. Like I said, I know other leagues obviously do it, which you can't understand for European finals, but I'll leave that to the powers that be. I'll concentrate on trying to get us there first of all.
And
well done on the marathon, mate. Congratulations. Well done.
The club have worked with the Tottenham fan group tomorrow to put on a tifo display, and there'll be flags throughout the stadium as well. I know the fans haven't always felt aligned with the club at times this season, but how important is that kind of togetherness for such a big night? Yeah,
really important. And again, whoever of you guys have travelled throughout Europe with us, whether this year or other years, you see the impact that has. When you play in opposition stadiums, when the supporter base, really feels engaged with, with the club and with the team and with the occasion, and it's going to be hugely important for us tomorrow night. Our fans in Frankfurt were outstanding, and to be fair, in Europe this year, all the European games, even the Frankfurt, the first home game, I thought was a fantastic atmosphere, and we're going to need it tomorrow night. Again, it's a semi-final of European competition. I'm sure our supporters are excited. Everyone at the club's excited, and we want to make sure we get the best chance to perform at the best level so we can get through.
Hi, Ange. Are you superstitious?
No, I used to be, but not anymore. I find it was kind of worked against everything else. I kind of believe in my life because, I never used to change, socks. And then I thought, geez, if it's just the socks, what am I doing? What's the point of me being a coach if it's just socks that make a difference? No, I'm not, mate. Sorry.
I ask because last time Tottenham won a European trophy, Liverpool were champions, but the manager also left at the end of that season. Do you?
Jeez, well, it's a
Does
hell
that
of
give
a
you
way to
encouragement or not
it's a
encouragement?
hell of a way to frame that question, Matt. About look, I said before, and I get we're trying to run two parallel things here of a really disappointing season in terms of the league, but I just don't think that we can do anything other than really concentrate on an unbelievable opportunity we got before us. I just think, irrespective of what kind of season you have, how often will you be in this position? History tells you not that often, irrespective of how strong you are as a club, even the strongest clubs in terms of Europe. So any thought of what's going to happen next year or what's happened this year, or I just don't think is really of any importance. And as I said last week, I think you ask any Tottenham supporter, what's further most in their mind right now, what's going to happen next year, or us hopefully trying to get to a final of Europe and the opportunity to win some silverware. I think the answer would be just concentrate on the now, and that's what I'm doing. Tom.
Hey, Ange, that game against Bodo with Celtic was a few years ago. Is there anything you can learn from those particular games? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, same manager, similar style of play. When we played them with Celtic, we sort of, our season had got off to a slow start, but by that time we kind of were playing some decent football. But I remember, because again we had the first game at home, a bit like us, and their ability to play at a really good intensity. They weren't phased. The atmosphere at Celtic Park is unbelievable. They weren't phased by that. They'd beaten Roma, a couple of weeks before that. And it really strikes you that I don't think they're going to be daunted by anything tomorrow that they face, because, they've been at Old Trafford, they've played at the Emirates, I think, a couple of years ago. Like I said, they've played some big clubs in Italy, they've played some big clubs in other countries, and you see that they have this ability to not be fazed by that, and we've got to expect that tomorrow night. I don't expect them to be overawed by the occasion, or sort of thinking, wow. I think they've got a real capacity to be really strong in their mind about what they need to do, and the away game's tricky because you're playing in an artificial surface, difficult conditions. So I think there are still some real parallels there, and having experienced it, I know that they're going to be a really tough opponent.
And just throughout this season, when it's been difficult in the league, you've constantly said to the players, that they can still have a fantastic finish, and you're now 2 ties away from a final. What's been your message to the players this week? Last week you talked about the Stonecutters Creed. Any particular kind of angisms ahead of this week?
No, and that wasn't an angism. I'm still shocked that the whole room I was talking to had never heard of it before. But no, look, I think that still rings true. Like I said, I'm really strong at the moment on these. Like I said, these parallel worlds we're trying to traverse, and I've sensed, which is not surprising because I've said that before, that the way this club's perceived, that people are almost trying to diminish it in some respects. I've heard people say, well, it's the equivalent of Man United winning the FA Cup. No, it ain't. I'm sorry. Not on any planet is it the equivalent. Others suggesting that maybe we're not worthy of, Champions League. I mean, again, they're like things that are there, designed there to diminish what's ahead of us, which is an unbelievable opportunity. Like I said, irrespective of how this season's gone, we have generations of fans who, want this more than anything else, to share again with the people that they love, a special moment supporting their football club. So, as I said, this season could have gone a lot differently, and we could be flying in the league, but it wouldn't make this opportunity any different. The opportunity is the same. And I've made that clear to the players. We're disappointed, obviously, with Sunday at Liverpool. We were nowhere near the level we needed to be. But again, that's something we need to deal with separately. What we have before us is a semi-final of a European competition, with an opportunity to get to a final, win a trophy, and Champions League football. I just think for the players and everyone involved at the football club, it's a brilliant opportunity.
Hi, Ange. How do you assess the players' ability to really go through the gears physically tomorrow night after managing minutes and rotating a bit in recent weeks?
I think we're in a good place from that point of view. I think looking at the outputs of the players, I think we've got really good sort of work into players who needed it. Others we've had to manage because I think with a season like ours, where guys like Romero and Van der Ven and Destiny, guys who've missed a lot of the season, it's not just about getting them back, but then you've got to manage how you bring them back and how and when they play. They certainly, all of the guys we rested on the weekend, Bentancur, they all could have played Pedro on the weekend for sure, but it made sense for us to give them a really good preparation. So, and the guys who played, Don played 60, Matters played 45. I think they're in a good place physically, absolutely. We're going to need a big physical performance because, again, Bodo worked really hard as a team. But similarly to the Frankfurt games, I think the guys are, from a physical standpoint, in a good place to have a strong performance.
And do you feel like, given the unique conditions you're going to face in Norway next week, obviously no more away goals rule anymore, there's an incentive to try and give yourselves a good cushion in that first leg?
I think you try and do that anyway. I think, playing home in Europe, for every club has its advantages, and you want to try and take that advantage. And as you said, Bodo away is a difficult challenge. But having said that, we played really well against Frankfurt at home, and we should have won by 3 or 4. We ended up drawing, but the important thing was that we played really well and were dominant. I think that gave us confidence. And Frankfurt away wasn't an easy. Their record's just as compelling as Bodo's. So I think tomorrow night, what's really important is we put in another dominant performance. Hopefully, if we create as many chances this time, they go in rather than sort of hitting crossbars and so forth. But I don't think you just go into tomorrow night thinking you're going to kill off the tie. Then I just don't think. I think semi-finals, for the most part, tend to be pretty tight, and I expect that tomorrow night.
For Bodo Glimt, this is an adventure. They are a small club, but for you, you're a bigger club. The last chance to get something from this season. How does that affect you mentally going into these games?
Yeah, you'd love us to think that you're a small club and we don't rate. No, that's not how I've just said. I think Bodo's there on merit. They beat Lazio in the last. They beat Olympiacos, tough teams. They're there because they're a good football team. Doesn't matter where you come from. I come from the other side of the world, where football is the fourth sport. So I don't underestimate anything. You say we're a big club, they're a small club, doesn't matter. We're 2 clubs in the semi-final of a European competition, and they've earned the right to be there. They've done very well to get there, and we're going to treat them with the respect they deserve. And at the same time, make sure that we go in there and give our best performance.
What do you see as the main reason that Bodo Glimt has reached this stage?
As I said, I think they've been a real stable club, same manager, and I think they've got a real clear identity in the way they play. And as I said, I think they've created a real kind of resilience in the group, mental resilience, that irrespective of who they play, whether that's in the Norwegian League or in Champions League qualifiers or Europa or the conference, they treat every opponent the same, and they play at the same level, and I think that's why they've been a dangerous opponent for any team.
Hi, Eirik from TV2 Norway. In addition to that, you've been to Bodo. It was during the winter. It's such a small town. That's a fact. What does it tell you that a team from such a small place are playing in a semi-final in the European Cup?
It's what I love about the game. That's the beauty of football. That irrespective of where you come from or the size of the place you come from, that if you're ambitious and if you have a clear plan, and you can, especially in our sport, you can create unique opportunities and create fantastic moments. So I think that's what we love about the game. That's what we love about football. That there's always been stories of whether it's clubs from small areas or small countries doing well in major competitions. That's always existed.
The Bodo Glimt coach, Kjetil Knutsen, what is your impression of his style of football and him as a person?
Yeah, good guy. Like I said, Obviously met him a few years back, and yeah, good guy, and he's done really well with them. He's, like I said, he's had a real clear identity about the way he wants his team to play. He's created a real strong culture at the club, I think, not just from a football perspective, but from you know, a mental perspective as well. And you see that, and yeah, he's done very well, and I look forward to seeing him tomorrow night.
So we won't see a replay of the Mourinho clash when you meet Kjetil at the sideline tomorrow?
I'm a bit different to Jose, yes. But look, I think you know, that's the kind of results they've had in the past. It means you have to respect them. You know, you have to respect. It's not. This is not just a one-off. You know, that was what, 4 years ago, and every year they've done that to more than one club that supposedly are bigger. You know, so it's not. This is not a unique. You know, they've gone further obviously this year, and they've earned it. Like I said, even to get to the knockout stage, Olympiacos are a tough team. I mean, they won the Conference League last year. Lazio, we know, are a good side, so they're not there by accident.
One thing is the results, but also the way they have played and done it. It must be something that warms your heart with your playing style.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I love their approach. I love that they're not, you know, intimidated by oppositions. I love the fact that they, you know, they take the game and to whoever the opponent is, and yeah, look forward to the challenge.
Final question, please.
Hi, Ange. Adrian Netovisen in Norway. You might say no, but after facing those big clubs like Olympiacos, Lazio, are you by any chance surprised by Bodo getting that far? Because I know you won't mention the small club and small resources, but it's from a city that small. Are you surprised going to the semi-final in the Europa League?
No, like I said, I'm not, because, you know, if this was, you know, the first year they got results like that, then you'd say, yeah, I'm a bit surprised. But I think they've been building towards that. Like every year they've made an impact in Europe. Maybe they haven't got as far as, but I think, like anything else, it's only been, you know, in recent years that they've got into Europe. And I think in Europe, the more you're in there every year, the more you get the chance to grow. And I think they've grown every year. So I think, you know, it's not a surprise to me. And I think irrespective of how it goes this year, I expect them next year as well to have another impact in whatever competition they be. That, you know, they may get through the Champions League qualifiers next year and get to the Champions League. That wouldn't surprise me either, because I've just seen their growth.
Last one. They're coming into this match with a lot of injuries. How do you think that will affect them, maybe especially missing Patrick Berg in the midfield? Yeah,
look, obviously, you know, missing Patrick Berg is a loss for them. But again, I think it's always been more about what they do as a team rather than the individuals. Because, you know, the other thing, over the last 5 years, they've sold a lot of players as well. But the team's always remained consistent. I think, irrespective of the lineup tomorrow, we expect them to play the same way and to be just as hard to beat.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.
Which is fine, but then you can't make a story on it for how I want it. You need a put into the critic, the doubter. That's the thing, a lot of people sending and stuff, isn't it? Which I think is probably true. Instead, the tempo is going to be limited with the relegation and the final playoff. Coventry Middlesbrough are massive on playoff. Yeah, and they're all yeah. But only, you know, the big red three Burnley have just played it in all. Massive all-in game. Last player. He's already talking about it. Absolutely looking to play for a no manager. Derby people are right now, but everyone has, so they haven't really done it. It goes up to Oxford, isn't it? So 3-2-1, going to turn around and wait for him. 3-2-1. Left me on my own. He's in Salford and he's in one of the difficult positions. My team which just carries on while they all chat away. What seems as though he seems to have. Do they?
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll take questions for James Maddison for 10 minutes, and we'll try to get through as many questions as we can in this time. Simultaneous translation is available through the headsets provided, so please select channel 1 for English and channel 2 for Norwegian. We'll take questions from the floor, and if you could please use the microphones provided.
Yeah, James, there's no doubting this is a huge game for the football club, for you and for the players. How big is this for you in your career?
Yeah, it's huge, yeah. I mean, I think come the end of when you get to the end of your career and you look back, there's probably not many times any player has probably been in the European semi-final. Maybe like once, twice, a few times if you're lucky, if you're at the real big clubs, whatever. But I think we have to use that we're in the final four of a massive competition in Europe, and use that as motivation to have a great tie on Thursday and away in Bodo as well in the following Thursday, because we've got a real special opportunity. There's obviously been a lot of talk about the form and it being quite a poor season, but we still have the opportunity to do something very special, and we're in the last four of a European competition, and we've earned that. You know, you don't just get placed there. We've earned that. We deserve to be here. So a challenge that we're going to relish, yeah, and it starts on Thursday night. Yeah.
How easy is it to park the Premier League performances when it comes to Europe and particularly to games as big as this?
Well, it's a balancing act, isn't it? And it's I guess it's part of my role a little bit as a senior player to almost, yeah, like I said, it's a bit of a balancing act, because you want to feel the hurt and the little bit of embarrassment about how Sunday went, because losing 5-1 in any game is a little bit embarrassing, and Liverpool obviously won the Premier League on the day, so it was a very negative day for us as a club. But like I just said, it's kind of my job as a senior player, I feel, to almost, don't accept the fact that we were poor and we can't go forward like that, because the league is important. It gives you the momentum to take into Europe, but also have the feeling of trying to just put it to one side. And I said that in my post-match interview, especially because we've got a lot of young players that you need positivity. You want them to be feeling good and ready to go into Thursday. If we're dwelling on Sunday for too long, it's a quick turnaround. It's only a few days preparation. So yeah, trying to get them feeling positive again and get a nice feel about the group. So like I said, it's a balancing act, because you want to feel the hurt of Sunday, but it's a quick turnaround. And like I said a few times, it's my job as a senior player to get the positivity back into our players and into us as a group, so we're ready for Thursday and can go in confident, you know.
Hi James, can I ask you about Matthias Tell, who he thinks probably going to play from the left tomorrow because Sonny's not fit. What have you made of his development since he came on loan? And the club's got a 45 million option to sign him. Would you pay 45 million for him in the summer?
I haven't got 45 million. Matthias, yeah. No, he's been very good since he's come in. I think obviously when he first come in, he started we had a few injuries, didn't we? So he was playing a little bit as a number 9 and he's played off the left as well. Direct player. I think he's got good feet. He's very tricky. He can definitely be someone who scores goals. He's got that. You sometimes see wide players who are like goal scorers, and then wide players who are more 1v1 specialists. The top ones have both. But I think he's definitely a goal scorer. He can be a threat on the pitch. And I think he's done well. He hasn't played an awful amount, but recently he's been in the team more. But like I said, especially from myself playing on that kind of left side of midfield in central, we're growing a little bit more of a relationship and understanding what sort of player he is. I know Sonny when Sonny plays there, so I know kind of what he's going to do and what I expect from him. And I think that's growing with Matty off the left, and I think there's a real good player there. Yeah.
And just to pick up what you said at the start about teams not generally being in this situation, I know you're not that old, but do you sort of sense that this is an opportunity that you personally, can't afford to waste, given the stage you are in your career?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that. I'm very motivated to help the team have success. We got to a European semi-final with Leicester in the Conference League, and we lost to Roma over 2 legs. Roma went on to win the competition. Jose Mourinho. And I actually remember the 2 legs very clearly. And again, at the time, obviously that was a few years ago, but I probably didn't realise the magnitude of what we were so close to being able to achieve until now. So just that, and that's what gaining experience is, I guess, right? So it's important for myself and the team that we're ready and we don't let any small details get in the way. It's a very important fixture for us, yeah.
Hi, Eirik from TV2 Norway here. About 50,000 people lives in Bodo. They're not playing in the biggest league, we have to admit, and I don't think people in England know too much about them. Do you feel that these kind of things puts more pressure on you guys?
I don't think so. I think if you watch football, you've seen Bodo play over the last number of years. They're always in Europe, aren't they? It's a team that pops up regularly playing in Europe. Obviously played at United this year. They played at Arsenal. I think they've played at some of the big Italian clubs. And they've had good results. So if you're a fan of football and you watch European football, you will have seen them play, definitely. And we've obviously done some preparation on them. You can tell you talk about the population, but that almost adds to their unity as a club and as that kind of family feel. And we know it's going to be tough. We're not taking this game lightly at all, I can promise you that. So we know it's going to be a tough game, 2 legs, especially away from home. But tomorrow's the home leg, and we have to make them feel that, yeah.
But still, this is the first time they're here in the semi-final. They're a small team. Every game is a bonus. And for you, this is the last chance to do something big this year. How does this affect the dynamics?
I could probably just copy and paste the last answer, to be fair. No, again, I'll reiterate, but they're in the last 4. You know, you can say anything's a bonus, but they'll be ready. They're not going to come and turn up and be wowed by the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium because, like I said, they've been to Old Trafford. They played at Arsenal. They've had great results in Europe. We're not going to be lulled into the fact that they're going to come to a big stadium and be wowed by that. We know they're going to be ready. We've seen it. We've watched the European clips there. They're a good team. So we're ready for them, yeah.
Hello, James. Can you talk to us a little bit, please, about Ange? I'm sure you're aware of the narrative that's sort of developed in this season because it's been so difficult. And whether he gets to stay and continue the project. But in terms of players playing for him, there's no better example really than you getting flattened for the penalty in the quarter-final. So can you sort of summarise what the feeling is within the camp about the manager?
We're behind the manager, 100%. I think he's a great man. Listen, he's the first person to tell you. I've heard it myself that we've had a poor season, especially in the league. We've been very good in Europe. But the league season's probably been unacceptable, and we can all take a collective responsibility for that. But he's my manager, he's my gaffer. I respect him an awful amount. And listen, the narrative is something that we players try and keep away from because it's not healthy to read into what you lot are talking about, the manager's position. I just know that I come into work every day and see the lads listening, taking on the messages, how he wants to play, and the coaches and trying to do what's best for this club. And like I said, we're in a very good position in Europe where we can still have a special season under his management. So I'll continue to do that till the day he isn't here. You know, he's my manager, and I respect him an awful amount, like I just said. So that will continue.
Hi, James. The supporters are kind of hurt, upset, angry, embarrassed about the league season. Probably been getting pelters from their mates all season about the league. As players, do you owe them this one in the Europa, given what they've sort of been going through?
They or we?
Do you
owe? But we've been going through it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'd say that you've been putting them through it with the results in the league.
Mm.
Do you owe them
on purpose or?
No, not on purpose. I'm sure I'm not questioning the effort, but do you not feel you owe them one?
No, we definitely want to reward them for the support that they give us by creating something special because the league hasn't been good enough, definitely. But it hurts us as well. Like, let's not create the narrative that it's just like, yes, it's us players out there, definitely, and we take responsibility for that. But it hurts me a lot that we're having a poor season. But this is why we're so motivated for this competition because like I said, the season can still be so special. Because talk about all the time about Tottenham being without silverware for however many years it is. I don't know off the top of my head, but we're in the last 4 and we've got a great opportunity to do that in the competition that we've been pretty solid in this year. And okay, maybe I worded it a little bit wrong, but we want to, I think the word reward them, because we feel the support, and it's one of them, you go at the end of games and we've lost again, and you go over because you want to thank them for the support, and I know they don't want to hear it for us, like even like this press conference and the interview on Sunday, they're not really that bothered, because words are just words, but it hurts and we're trying to put it right. I think that's the main thing, that the hunger is there. It doesn't always work, that's just life. It doesn't always work how you want it to, but this is a unique situation that we're in the last 4 in Europe, where we can go and reward them and for their support, because they do travel everywhere, and we are very grateful for that. That they still, even in the league position we're in, when we've got nothing to play for, they're still selling out Liverpool away, and we do appreciate that, and they're supporting us. But it hurts us as well. I guess the message I was trying to get across, that we're not satisfied as well. You know, we're in this together, so.
Can I just pick up on that, because you talked about being a senior player and everything. How personally responsible do you feel for the way this season's gone? And when you talk about the hurt, can you express how you felt after the Liverpool game, or whatever some of the bad defeats you've had this season, how it personally affects you?
I don't feel personally responsible, because it's a collective. It's everyone. No one at the whole club, from the top to the bottom, should be satisfied internally. Should be satisfied with where we are. So it definitely hurts. The hurt you're talking about, I guess it's a tough one, because, like I just said, we have to do interviews, and you spoke about Liverpool on Sunday. Like, I'm going to do the interview where we've lost 5-1. It's a little bit embarrassing. I'm a bit embarrassed myself, and I have to go and talk. And I know no one really actually wants to hear what I've got to say, because they want to see the reaction and the reaction, I guess. And that's what the chance we've got to do on Thursday night, which is the beauty of the quick turnaround, because we can go and put it right Thursday if we get a good result, and then in 7 days' time we've got another massive game, and then we can almost, if we get through that, we're in a European final. So there is positives there, but I guess we've got to go and do it, and we've got to show them that we're just as hungry as they are to win something, you know. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
And we'll just finish with Ali over there, please.
Hi James, I just want to ask you about Lucas Bergvall. New contract this week. You've played alongside him obviously much of the season. What have you seen improve in his game, and also what's he like behind the scenes, his first season in English football?
He was very keen to start with, in terms of he was very enthusiastic, like a little bee, you know, maybe that's not the right. He was just everywhere, you know. In pre-season tour, he was just like, you turn a corner, he's there, happy, and I guess that's the youthfulness of him. But he's a brilliant player. He's a fantastic talent, and Tottenham's done amazingly well to get him to the club, and obviously get him to sign a new contract, which is brilliant for everyone at the club. He's got some learning to do probably within the game, I guess, but he's so young that's fine. You know what I mean? What he will have learnt as well, without even realising it at the minute, is everything. His journey this season, which has just gone like that, and it's not been gradual trajectory. It's been like injuries and I guess earned as well because of his performance. But he will have learnt so much that even like next season, he'll be in a much better place in terms of what he's learnt from the Premier League. Because when he first come in pre-season, I think, because he's a big, strong boy, he's built, his frame is a big, powerful boy, but I don't think his body was probably up to the intensity of the league that we all know very well. But once he got to grips with that from playing so much because of the injuries, he's kind of like caught up probably quicker than what you would have expected. But the talent's there. So and he's a great boy. He's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He always means well. He's always willing to learn, and I always try and help him as much as I can, because anyone who's willing to learn and listen, you want the best for. You know, he's not someone who's come in, got straight into the team, and then like tried to like have himself a little bit. He's kept his head, he's kept grounded, and he's actually growing into more like, I hear him like talking and demanding a little bit of other players now, and I love that. I love that he's in a place now where he's confident enough to be able to say to an older player like, come on you, like. And I think that's obviously come from this season, the experiences he's learned, as I just said. So great future. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.